But an out-of-control teenager is a little bit different story. But we can have an impact on them also. And I'm going to introduce Ricky Crown over here in a minute, his video. And he just told me a few minutes ago that Ricky owns a roofing business. And he just told me a few minutes ago that I helped him with his first job. I did not know that. And I told him I'm expecting some royalty checks. To which he replied, the check's in the mail. So, but Ricky was with us back, 2000, was it? 2000, he was 14, 15 years old, 15? He's 28 now. I accused him of being 30 a little while ago, and he corrected me, but 28, which makes me feel really old. But Ricky was a good kid, and I say a kid back then, he's now a man, and a very successful man. And I'm going to let him talk more about himself in the video.
My life before I came to the Tennessee Children's Home consisted of getting into a lot of trouble. When I was about 8.5 years old was when it started. My dad had recently passed away, and we moved to Franklin around Memphis and just started doing what I wanted to do, disobeying my mom and any other person who I would perceive to be an authority figure. And my mom never remarried, so I never had another father figure in my life. So constantly I was in and out of trouble, just running the streets and doing what I felt like I wanted to do, making my own decisions. When I became a resident at the Tennessee Children's Home, I started out just trying to basically lay low, be quiet, and see how everything around me worked. Eventually, I actually broke out of my own shell and started paying attention to the other people. Started to learn and understand that being here wasn't necessarily like a jail or an imprisonment. It was more of modern day life and the way that family and values and stuff should be. Here at the Tennessee Children's Home, that's what you get taught. Not necessarily do you get taught you're going to be punished because of this, but more or less that you have family who will support you, back you up, and not necessarily criticize you for your wrongdoing, but more help walk you through it and work with you through any trouble that comes your way. Since leaving the Children's Home, it's been about 14 years, and it was a little rocky starting out. However, now today I currently own my own business. I fought against every battle that most common people would try to say against a juvenile, someone who grew up in state's custody, which was, you'll grow up to be like your dad or like this person. Ultimately, what I found out is you grow up to be who you want to be. You make your own decisions, and ultimately, any goal that you set, you can reach, no matter what your past has been, what you've been through. My feelings for the Tennessee Children's Home are very high as far as the people and the programs that I respect. And one of them was Mr. Mike Uhouse and his family. I was in their home for 10 months while I was in the children's home, and he took me in as one of his own kids. And honestly, for the 10 months I was here, he was one of the closest things as a father figure. And he constantly would help you and talk to you through things and just to teach you life values. The Tennessee Children's Home made an impact in my life at the younger age I was here. I was here when I was 15 until 16. And within the 10 months of my stay here, I would say I turned my life around from how I started out and the time I was here. It made an impact in my life to where 14 years later to today's date, it's something, and there's people I still talk about here, and I encourage people to listen to other people's stories, and whether or not it's someone you don't like, but if they're an authority figure or just another person who has life experience. That's what I learned at the children's home, talking to all the house parents, Mike Uhals, James McHugh, and everybody who's here.
Penny and I got involved in this great mission work because we wanted to make a difference in the lives of young people and their families. This work allowed us an opportunity to mold Christ and mentor them into the mind and thought process of these young people so we could teach and preach Christ, and helping them to become productive citizens. And having my partner, my best friend, my wife, working alongside of me, together, make it that much more rewarding. Penny, she loves the children. She does what she does with passion, patience, and prayer. To God be the glory. The Great Commission, or the Great Commandment, must precede the Great Commission. Because we, at Tennessee Children's Home, love God. We take seriously the second commandment, to love others as ourselves, and to do unto them as we would have them do unto us. When we get the first charge right, the second becomes relatively easy. Whether you are talking about digging deep into your pockets to support, or the work that we do on a daily basis for this great work for Jesus Christ. And as a result of that, we have lives that have been changed and impacted. Families that have been strengthened. I'm going to introduce you to this next hero. That's John Grimes. He couldn't be here tonight. He was Skyped in. But we're honored to have here on stage his mother, Miss Debbie Grimes, and his sister, A.J. DeJarrett, with us tonight. John internalized the things and principles and skills that we tried to teach him. John is now a leader serving our country. Let me introduce our hero, my hero, John Grimes.
I'm John Grimes. I was born out of Nashville, Tennessee, and I spent April 2004 until about mid-October 2004 at the Tennessee Children's Home, located in Spring Hill, Tennessee. Up until that time, it was sort of a tumultuous time in my life. Between my parents, things weren't always well at home. My dad was usually out of town on business. My mom wasn't in best healthy state at that time. So you can only imagine for a teenager, that can be kind of hard. When you kind of missing a mentor in that situation, sometimes you can kind of veer off of your path, so to speak. Which kind of led to my led to sort of a demise when I was about 16. Got into some little trouble, whether it was at school, outside school, as a juvenile delinquent, and my parents and the judge felt it was best to place me at the home, and hopefully it would get me back on track. At that time, like I said, I didn't have much respect for, I guess you could say, authority or authoritative figures. It was, you could say, a rude awakening upon my arrival there, and there was definitely adjustment. Having guys like Mike Uhas and Mr. Johnson and others, really, I was able to see some leadership at that time, something I needed as an adolescent that I didn't really have at home. And guys like Mr. Uhas kind of took me under his wings, so to speak, and kind of mentored me and helped me understand that, you know, you don't have to have two parents at home. You don't have to have all that. You can't look for excuses for reasons why you're not productive or you know, whether it's anything with behavior outside of school incidents, anything. You have to find a way to channel all that, whether it's anger, whether it be whatever it is going on, and you have to make yourself better. And working in the hayfields with them, gardening, going to church 3 times a week, those type of things kind of built up a good work ethic for me, taught me the value in work, the principles, and just building up good work ethics and habits to kind of help develop me growing up. Wow, it was special, and I actually got to enjoy all that and working with others. It helped me work better with other people and kind of take charge and kind of try and lift those around me that were maybe struggling with the adjustments of being there and things like that. And it kind of taught me some good leadership skills that I took later into the Navy and I continue to try and use today. I spent from June 2008 until December 2012 in the United States Navy. Now I'm located just outside of Washington, D.C., where it all started for me here in the Navy on the aircraft carrier, the Harry S. Truman, where I became the commanding officer's yeoman, working directly with the commanding officer and the ship secretary, and I got to be a part of some special moments of some deployments. As I was in the Honor Guard in D.C., I also got to do some state dinners. I was a part of the inauguration. I've been next to Obama several times, spoke a few times with him, as well as the Vice President, Mr. Biden. So and I guess what led to all that, what helped me, give me strength to find it within myself to enlist into the armed forces was kind of what I learned at the home. When I was thrown there, kind of thrown into the wolves almost, I built up a lot of self-discipline, a lot of leadership skills, like I alluded to earlier, that helped me realize that I can do anything I put my mind to. So I said, well, the best thing I can do now is dedicate my service to my country, and hopefully that will get me on the right path, and I can go to school and move forward with my life. That's what I've done now. I'm studying full-time and working part-time. Right now I'm taking 5 classes, and I'm on pace to obtain my bachelor's next year. I have some credits from the Navy, and I'll be getting my associates just in a few more months. And I'm looking at going into business. I'm studying international business, minoring in economics. Like I said, I think a lot of that is attributed to the home. If anything, I would like to contribute to the home and whatever I could do. I'm hoping this helps, stories like mine, because even if it's just 1 out of 10 of those kids that you can help, they can contribute to society, whatever area it is. My story or for. I'm sure there's plenty others, but if you can just touch one of those young men's lives, they can go on and reach out to others and help them too. I feel like it's pivotal that the state and others continue to help aid, because the children's home does a whole lot of good for a whole lot of young men like myself. I came from humble beginnings, and I never forget where I came from. And like I said, a lot of my success is of course attributed to the Tennessee Children's Home. And it was a special point in my life. It's where I finally knew I could believe in myself and I could achieve what I wanted to.
You want to talk more? You're done, okay. Hey, let's give a big hand to Chris and Mindy and Mike and Home, Dr. James and Penny, and all the great work that Tennessee Children's Home is doing. I wish my boys were here to watch that. Parker boys, did y'all see that? Okay, because that's my threat now to my sons. If they don't act right, I'm going to throw them to the wolves. It's a big honor for me. University of Tennessee, it's where I went. I was born and raised in Knoxville. I went to college there for 6 years. I didn't graduate, but I went on 6 spring break, so I'm not an idiot, just a bad Asian. This is an honor for me right here. These two gentlemen I want to introduce here. You got it? Tennessee volunteer here, because we are in Tennessee. It is the volunteer state. They can't make you live here. Or there's 3 people. I can only have 2 here. I got Joe Johnson. Big hand. Milton Sewell. Big hand. Right here is Conrad Slate. Big hand.
I was going to bring you an enthusiastic greeting from East Tennessee, but I'm not going to try that. Henry, I think, has done that very well. I live in Knoxville, and have been associated with the Children's Home since 2001, and I am honored to be here this evening. Goodness, you don't know when there are 5,000 to 6,000 members of the Church of Christ in all 33 counties of East Tennessee. To come in and see a group like this in one place is marvelous, and I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to be here for a lot of reasons, but one is that these 2 distinguished gentlemen, if you don't know them personally, and many of you do know both of them personally, you certainly know their reputation for integrity, for caring about young people, and particularly the students who they saw pass through their campuses. And I have a question I'm going to pose to them in a moment about that and why they are here with me on the stage this evening. And my job is just to ask them to comment on several things. I don't know what they're going to say. I laughed and told Dr. Sewell, I said, you can really tell that this has been rehearsed. I didn't even know which seat to sit in. He said, you sit in the middle. And I'm good at taking instructions. But
college presidents tend to do that.
Well, I'm a step or 2 below that. But I did graduate. I will begin by asking either or both of you, if you would, to comment on child care in Tennessee, things that we know about it, facts and so forth. Would either of you?
I mean, I don't know how factual I can be, Conrad. Let me take a first swing at that. Being involved with Knox Area Rescue Ministries, Emerald Youth Foundation, Helen Ross McNabb Mental Health Center, Boy Scouts, and some other organizations, Imagination Library, I see a lot of wonderful things with young people. with strong families doing things well. And that's my concern, and I think we always need to remember that there are a lot of wonderful people doing wonderful things with their children. But also a great concern, one of the things which the Tennessee Children's Home does is address these shortcomings that you see when youngsters end up in homeless shelters, when they end up in a mental health treatment facility with drug issues, alcohol issues, abuse issues, and that is a concern of mine. And there are a lot of folks work on resolving that issue. And sometimes you hear people say, well, if you could just get parents to do what they ought to do, then everything would be fine. But folks, that's not going to happen. I don't think. There will always be those youngsters who need, and families who need special kinds of assistance. Sometimes it's because of physical problems, mental problems, but when I get involved with some of these people, Conrad, I guess I'll quit wandering around, but there are large numbers of young folks who have serious needs that some adults need to address and provide discipline, guidance, spiritual examples of folks. And they're out there, and I think they're going to be with us for a long time.
Dr. Sewell, do you have any?
I lived in Alabama.
Bless you. I'm an Alabamian also, so that.
From Vernon, Alabama.
Yes, that's right.
And I'm from Florence, but there was a problem in Alabama with children whose parents many times were not able to take care of them, and for sometimes various reasons the parents were either killed or not able to manage them, and there was a need. Child haven was what we grew up knowing, Joe, as I recall, and I heard then some of the stories about some of the young people, and I knew of some of the folks who went through child haven, and Jerry Barber's wife is one of them. What a wonderful lady she is, and she went through, and a lot of others. I had a roommate in college who had gone through child haven because his parents were not able to take care of him. I don't remember the circumstances. Well, then we moved to Georgia eventually, and of course there's Agape over there. And I'm so happy to be a member of the Church of Christ that does take care of children like this. And the churches of Christ have been very supportive of child haven, and of course Agape in Alabama. Now it's broadened out, and also in Georgia and here in Tennessee. The Tennessee Children's Home, in my opinion, has progressed in the way that you've done it. You've done such a good job in rearing the children, and we've seen evidence of course, on the screens. But there are many others. We were up in Illinois recently, and the Amish recognize that children in their teen years go through a struggle. No matter whether your children or somebody else, they're growing and developing. I don't remember the word they use for it, but I was talking with some of them, and they said their parents sort of realize that they may get out of control between 12, 15, and up to about 20. Then they have to decide, am I going to get right or not? And they do. Having worked in public and Christian schools, I saw children who were many times neglected because their parents did not take the leadership and try to bring them under control. And there can be children that are malfunctioning even in homes of their parents. I grew up with a boy whose parents would not say no to him. And if anybody else, the school got in trouble at school, the school was in trouble. The teachers were in trouble. And it was no real surprise that he died in prison just a few years later. Had somebody taken him, like a Mike Uhas or some of these others, Tennessee Children's Home, had taken him and taught him right from wrong, it might have made a difference in his life. And as a result, And so Laurel and I are just deeply impressed with what we've seen. They're in the Henderson area with the Tennessee Children's Home, as well as across the state. They're fitting a tremendous need, and that's it's critical. And we want to go to heaven, and taking care of children and helping with those children that need help like this, whether they're at this age or whether they're in college. That's, I think, our responsibility as Christians. I believe the Lord will welcome us there if we have taken that seriously.
Just one comment on what Milton made. Talking about the family, the person he knew died in prison. The state of Tennessee spends $50,000 to $60,000 a year to keep a person of any age in prison. And with the dollars used by the Tennessee Children's Home from different sources, that's a whole lot less. And those youngsters who are cared for by Tennessee Children's Home end up being responsible citizens doing good things rather than being in prison at $50,000 to $60,000 a year.
Let me follow up that by asking each of you, you have been willing to lend your influence and your good offices and your name to this effort by being here tonight and by speaking for us in different forums and so forth. And I know, given your background and so forth, you don't want to lend your name to something that would not lend honor to your name, or that would lead someone astray, or have someone come back to you and say, well, you know, I don't think that was a very smart thing for you to do. So what was it that helped you reach a decision to be willing to sit up here tonight and to be willing to be our spokesman?
One, the Kingville Church of Christ, which was Caneville Church of Christ, which was outside of Kennedy, which is south of Florence. I remember it sent $10 a month to child aid. That may be one reason I'm sitting here. The other is, this program, I've been in higher education. You like for things to be certified by somebody that certifies you as being quality. And Tennessee Children's Home is certified. It's accredited. Because if you're going to support something, and particularly if it's dealing with children, you want to make sure the program, the people, the facilities are certified and accredited. I should pick on, you know, if you go to Auburn, you're not going to get an education. I mean, that's just the way it is. Even though it's semi-accredited. Semi-accredited. But, and the other reason, and Milton said this well, it is a Christian organization. It is Christ-centered. The people that are there, that work there, it is Christ-centered. And that becomes a very important factor to me. So one, my old church down there in Kingville sent money. Two, it's accredited, it's certified. Two, it's Christian in its objective, in its philosophy, and in what it does. And as we've seen tonight, it produces successes in some instances, and the percentage of successes, that percentage is very high.
Dave Thomas, who founded Wendy's, was an orphan, and somebody took him in, made a difference in his life. I remember one time Art Linkletter was on campus, and he and I were talking about how he was brought up. And he was telling that he was left on the front porch in a little box on somebody's house. And somebody took him in, took care of him, and made a great influence out of it. But you know, one of the things that causes us to want to be a part of helping not only college students to get through college, but also Tennessee Children's Home, is that we had good parents. I mean, we had good parents. And they taught us right from wrong. And we got to go to church and mix and mingle, and to me, that's a way of saying thank you, Lord, for letting us have parents like this, and I wish that every child could have this kind of opportunity. Wouldn't it be fun if every child could be in a family like that was up here singing tonight? It's not possible, but that was just a fun thing to watch that family interact there. And we see that family interaction out at the Tennessee Children's Home as well as you do. So a lot of our giving is to let the Lord know that we're very grateful that He has blessed us. Therefore, let's us try to bless some of these children that are less fortunate.
Just one, my mother was a very loving lady, and she'd probably be in prison for child abuse. Her favorite punishment was an egg turner with holes in it. But it was good for her, because it was done, she said it was done in love. I wasn't sure about that, but it worked. I made it. I got out of Kennedy High School and somehow wandered up to Tennessee, and things turned out all right.
I'm sitting here listening to the things that you're saying, and somehow I want to involve everyone here in the room in some of your comments. So let me ask each of you, what are the ways that we as individuals can really get involved in our campaign, providing directions? What can I do? I can't necessarily write the big check, but what are the things that we can do to support this campaign based on your experience as administrators having to see developments and things done on your campus? It's not just a matter of somebody writing a check. There's a lot more that goes into it. Would you make comments about what the least among us could do?
You know, if you were talking about fiscal support, I'll come back to those things. You know, one of the things, if you never want to be asked for the second gift, don't ever make the first one. I once made a gift to the Republican Party and one to the Democratic Party. As president of UT, I had to support the caucus. I get letters all the time from those crazy people. But anyway, that's a whole different issue. But what we as Christians can do, we can pray for the Tennessee Christian Zone. We can have it in our mindset. We can say good things about it. That's one. I'm delighted that this guy got me involved, because I've learned a good deal about Tennessee Christian. I can say good things about it. All of us can do that. My Big Daddy Shelton once said, if somebody comes up to you and says, I'm honest and a Christian, grab your billfold and run the other way. But the positive side of that is if we can sincerely say good things about what the Tennessee Christian Home does. That's important. We can support it financially. We can encourage other people to support it financially. Become a spokesperson. Be a volunteer. Lend encouragement. Brag on the people. The folks are up here, the house parents, the adults are up here. What a sacrifice they make. And I know it's rewarding, but if we know people involved in that sort of thing, let them know how important they are. You can even tell Brian, he's semi-okay. But remember, you know, it always bothers me. Now, I wouldn't be a preacher for anything in the world. Because everybody who observes you thinks they know more what you ought to be saying than you're saying. But sometimes I have to remember to tell the preacher, you really did a good job. And that's important. And I think we can do that by letting people like Conrad and others know they are doing a wonderful job of carrying out a very simple but very important commandment of God. And that's do things for other people.
I don't know if you know, but Joe Johnson was known as one of the best fundraisers and took the University of Tennessee to one of the highest levels of fundraising of any university in the nation. He was recognized as being good, and he did it by just simply using that good down-home Southern, I like you and you like Tennessee, and let's get the job done. 2 or 3 things I would suggest. I agree with everything that you said, Joe. I would add to it, you do have to have the funds. They have to have the funds. And you may think that, well, I can't do much. Well, do what you can. Ask the Lord to give you guidance as to how much to give. And come out, and that can be so very encouraging to those. I suggest another thing, to think in terms of putting the Tennessee Children's Home in your estate funds. After you're gone, you still have stewardship responsibilities. The Lord still holds you. Everything on the earth belongs to the Lord, but you still have stewardship responsibilities of what you have. I've seen folks who would die and leave everything that the Lord had given to people that absolutely hated the Lord. I don't think they're going to have it. I think when they get to the pearly gates, it might be a problem for them. Wouldn't you? I would encourage you to think in terms of including. Now, let me tell you a little side note here. I was up in Canada speaking at the Christian College lectureship up there. And that college was struggling. Oh, it was struggling. And I said, now, I would encourage you here in this country to all get behind this school and support it. It's a wonderful school. It needs a lot of help. I'd encourage you to include this school in your will, your estate plans. So a lady came up to me and she said, Brother Sewell, I really do appreciate what you said tonight, especially about including the school in my will. I've always had Freed Hardeman in my will, but I'm going to change it. Put the Christian school up here in my will. You missed the point.
I need a very pragmatic thing on Milton's suggestion, thinking about including Tennessee Children's Home in your will, in your estate plan. Over the years at University of Tennessee, where I've worked in fundraising for 39 years, if you will put Tennessee Christian's Home in your will, you will add 20 years to your life. Now I want to tell you why. Our fundraising people would go out, they'd come back and say, hey, Joe, Miss Jones, she's 87, but she put us in the will for $1 million, and we'll be getting it soon. I'll guarantee you she's going to live to be 107. So if you're thinking about putting Tennessee Christian in your will, it will add 20 years to your life. Now, I'm very serious. Keep that in mind. It's very true. So there's a very pragmatic reason to put Tennessee Christian Home in your will.
It's called peace of mind.
There are somewhere around 7,900 children across the state of Tennessee that are in some form of state care. They're either at Tennessee Children's Home, they may be in foster care, or they could be institutionalized for more serious issues. And to ask both of you, considering that round about 8,000 young people who are in various stages of supervision and care by the state, does it strike you as being interested that the state of Tennessee has asked Tennessee Children's Home to expand? They have come to us and said, we want you to enlarge your campus in East Tennessee. We can fill it. We want you to improve your facilities. We want you to do these things. In your experience as educators, when someone comes to you with that kind of challenge or request, what goes through your mind and how do you respond to
Well, one is Tennessee Christian Home ought to feel very rewarded by the fact that the officials of the state of Tennessee who have a responsibility for these youngsters that are in various states of flux and various conditions, that those people believe keenly that Tennessee Children's Home does a wonderful job and is worthy of the support that comes to Tennessee Children's Home through being in that position. So you should feel very, very good about that. Those of us who are interested in should feel good about it. And it gives you an added incentive, I think, for going out and saying, let's expand our facilities, let's get larger and take care of those folks that the state of Tennessee thinks we can do well. And I particularly, this is not a negative comment, I think it is rewarding that the officials of the state of Tennessee would turn to a Christian home and ask that home to expand to serve more children in a Christian atmosphere.
Right, and that is exactly what I see is you're preventing. You're taking a young child, or young person, and you're trying to prevent and trying to guide and direct them. And maybe not cure, but you're trying to give them a good start. It's a whole lot better to deal with them at this age than to try to deal with them in prison, 35 to 40 years down the road. And so I wish that Tennessee Children's Home could accommodate every child, and they could be under the young people, young families like we saw tonight. And I think it'd make for a better state, a better nation, the church would be stronger, and we would not, the prisons would not be growing so excessively.
And sitting, just another, sometimes sitting and greeting the homeless veterans in Knoxville, when we have a special kind of an event for them at the Knox Area Rescue Ministry. And when you sit there and you shake hands with homeless folks who may be 25, 35, 45, 65 years old, it makes you very thankful that Tennessee Christian's Home is doing some of that work that Milton says is preventing. So those folks do not reach that stage.
Most every Tuesday night, I'm just leaving Knox County Jail. I have been teaching classes on Tuesday evening for a number of years. And because you said this, I want to affirm. We teach in the maximum security section. We have everything that you can imagine is present in terms of offenses. And they're not 50 and 60 years old. They're 19, they're 20, they're 21. And if we can do the kind of job that we are doing at Tennessee Children's Home on a broader scale, some of those guys aren't going to wind up in Knox County Jail. And they're in every county in the state. And they tell us, almost every one of them will say, it starts with no supervision and it's related to drugs and alcohol. Had I not been drinking, had I not been using drugs, it would have never happened. That's a big component of what we do. And I know I'm not supposed to talk, I'm supposed to be having you fellas talk. So I want to ask, we're going to close here in just a few minutes so we get out on time. I grew up in Madison, and anybody of you who may have known Ira North know that he believed in getting out on time. And there was always a trap door below.
And he did on some occasions.
And he did. However, I would like to ask each of you, if there was one thing, or okay, I'll give you two. If there were one or two things that you would say is a real compelling reason for everyone here tonight to think seriously about what we're trying to do and what we're asking them to consider, what would those one or two things be? Either of you?
Milton can go first. He's from West Tennessee.
The first thing that I would say is be sure to acknowledge to the Lord that you know it's his world, and he's in charge. And ask him for his guidance and direction in helping with the programs of the young people at Tennessee Children's Home, and all of those that are on their way there one of these days, and for all of those that have gone out. And you'll never hit 100% where they'll turn out really well. We don't do that in anything. But I was just thinking, I've heard men talk about that. I had the meanest mother in the world. Have any of you heard, did you ever say that about your mother when you were growing up? She was the meanest mother in the world. She made me do this and do that and everything. And I thought, then this, the other day, on the Facebook, our daughter sent us a picture of a drawing of our little 10-year-old grandson on the church bulletin, the church Sunday. And it had this mean-looking woman, and he said, "My mean mama." And it was interesting to see all the kinds of responses that people were giving, affirming her that she was doing a good job. And I had that chance this afternoon on the phone to affirm to her. I said, what you're doing is you're correcting them now, and it'll make it a lot easier. And I'm sure those first days when the young people come to the Tennessee Children's Home, and they are really bumping up against the rules and having difficulty adjusting, they probably say, those are the meanest folks in the world there. But then when they get out and they see the results, they say it's the best thing they ever have to do. We heard that tonight, and I bet that could be said thousands of times throughout.
Yeah, I never have, quite often you hear, and I'm picking up on Milton's point there, I have seldom does a graduate of the University of Tennessee come back and say, I really enjoy having the easiest professor that you have. You don't hear that. You hear somebody that demands something, that has high expectations. A little bit like my friend Lamar Alexander says, if you don't expect much, you're not going to get much. And that's very, very true. In looking at this campaign, and in looking at the ongoing support of Tennessee Christian Home, I think one of the things that's essential to success is creating a greater awareness among a greater range of people of what the Tennessee Christian Home does. I have never known anybody to make a gift to something that they didn't know anything about, that they never heard of. On rare occasions, I've heard people make a gift without being asked, but not very often. But the important thing is to establish a greater awareness, to develop a passion for what this place does, an understanding of what it does, and then making a decision with prayer and consideration that I want to be a part of that. I want to think that I can sit and watch this young man who served in the Navy, who had some difficulties, say, I am where I am today because of what the Tennessee Children's Home and its people did for me. And there has to be that passion for that, and which will lead us to support verbally in prayer and with our resources, and be willing to ask other people to give of their resources.
One of the things, Joe, probably you told your folks over there, it says, don't you ever ask anybody to give until you've given. You give first, and then it's a lot easier to ask somebody else. And so I'm sure when you make your gift, it will be a lot easier to ask other folks to give because you have that feeling in your heart. You know that you're doing something right and good.
It's the time in our program when we're going to watch a 7-minute video, and I think you'll recognize some of the faces in the video, but it has a lot of information in it that will be helpful to you. Much of it is in one of the brochures you have, but it's presented in a little different manner. And so if we're ready in the back, let's take a look at this video.
Tennessee Children's Home began in Columbia, Tennessee in 1909, and since that time has served over 20,000 youth and families at 4 different locations in the state of Tennessee. Children are at risk in a lot of different ways today, but Tennessee Children's Home currently provides services to abused, neglected, abandoned, and wayward youth in a Christian manner to provide hope not only for today but for eternity. We are starting a Providing Direction capital campaign, and this will allow us to build 2 group homes at our East Tennessee campus, as well as an educational building with offices for staff and teachers. It will allow us to build 2 group homes in West Tennessee, as well as increase the size of our educational building and renovate 3 current group homes. And in our North Central campus, it will allow us to make 3 of our single unit dwellings into duplexes so we can serve more displaced families. I'm excited about the potential growth that this capital campaign will bring to Tennessee Children's Home.
There's so many children that are out there that need some guidance, and it's so much easier to train them up right when they're at this age than when they're older and many times hardened. I'm delighted to see that there are plans that are being laid for expanding and growing and the opportunities for helping more young people, because I predict in the future there will be even more young people that need the guidance that they can get from the Tennessee Children's Home.
It's been a wonderful experience to have the young people who come through our program. They come from unhealthy families. They come from backgrounds where their parents were not parenting. They were in charge. They come from backgrounds where parents have been in prison and grandparents have had to raise them. So their family lives have not been healthy. And when I think about how they have gone on and how they have become parents and how they are dealing with life now, it just makes me jump with joy. If I could do back handspring, I would, but I can't. But I'm just so happy because I see what God has done with him. And as a result of this program, Blessing Them, we have been blessed richly. We get a chance to talk with them from time to time. And we never know how they're going to turn out because of the backgrounds that they come from. But somehow God blesses them over and over again. And we're just grateful for the privilege to have been a part of seeing these young people grow in their relationships and in their maturity and in their relationship with God. So we're just delighted.
I entered the Tennessee Children's Home at the age of 5, and when I entered the Tennessee Children's Home, it allowed me to gain the stability and the comfort level of making a transition and growing with the foster family that I had. The stability provided me with grounds to graduate from high school and to where I went to UT Knoxville and graduated college there as well. And then I was able to continue on and start my professional career out at Amazon here in Nashville. Now, from that stability that was instilled in me at such a young age, I'm now providing that back to my 1-year-old daughter. I know that with the Tennessee Children's Home, they were able to provide me the stability and the comfort throughout foster care, and for that, I will be forever grateful.
A couple years before I got put in state's custody, my parents started doing drugs, and it just went all downhill from there. We didn't have any water, power, and we didn't have any food. The Children's Home, it's really changed my life. I don't think you could get that kind of experience anywhere else.
Today, I'm a changed man. I'm 21 years old. I'm a machine operator for a company out in Mount Pleasant. I have my own house. I have my own truck. I have my own life. This I could not have without the Tennessee Children's Home, because not everybody has a chance out there on the outside, but they give you a chance and hope here. The Tennessee Children's Home makes changes. They make a difference here. I have to thank the Children's Home and everybody here just for everything they've done for me. And I have to make a promise that I will never let them down. And I will continue on my way to success, and I will continue to help others and spread the message and spread the word.
One of the significant aspects of what we do at Tennessee Children's Home is that we have great success in keeping boys back in their homes after they've been through our services. And I don't think that there's ever been a time when we have greater opportunity than today to serve children in East Tennessee. The state for the last several years has come to us and said, can you expand your services? Our question is, why do you want us to expand services? And it is because you provide the quality that we want, and you provide the services to the population that we really need to provide those services to. Boys who are at risk, those who have alcohol or delinquency issues. The state of Tennessee uses a metric, and the average across the state is about 26% recidivism, or boys who have to come back into care. Ours is about 10%. And what that means to you as a taxpayer is that it's a good deal because you're helping to support Tennessee Children's Home. What it means to us as Christians who care about young people is that our message is getting through. It's taking, and that's what's important.
I am delighted and honored to have been invited to participate in this effort to secure support for the Tennessee Children's Home through the Providing Direction campaign. This effort will allow the Tennessee Children's Home to serve 25% more children on its East Tennessee campus than now served. Tennessee Children's Home deserves our support because it uniquely serves young people in need by providing them education, safety, a wholesome environment, and all of that's done within Christian values so that those young people, when they enter life, they will be more responsible, they will be spiritual, and they'll be able to make their own way. We have a golden opportunity, and I want to urge all of us to respond to that opportunity, to put our support, our prayers, and our dollars into this campaign, and we'll see the results of our contributions years into the future through the lives of these young people, their families, and their children and their children.
At this time, I'm going to ask each of the men, Dr. Johnson and Dr. Sewell, if they would, to speak to your hearts about what's on their mind concerning the opportunity that you have tonight to help the Tennessee Children's Home do more of what it does very well. And Dr. Sewell, we'll begin with you, and Dr. Johnson, we'll let you end this.
When I was a little boy, there was a song that we sang, "This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine." And I didn't exactly know what all that meant because I didn't have a light. I didn't know exactly what that is. But the older I've gotten, I've learned that letting your light shine is using your influence for good. Using yourself first. Use the abilities and the talents and whatever resources the Lord's given you to help others. And that's what that song is saying. When I think of it now, I say that's what we have the opportunity to do. And you have the wonderful, all of us have the wonderful opportunity to be a part of this. What would this state do if we didn't have Tennessee Children's Home? Isn't that frightening? Because they would be brought up where there were no morals, no real values that would necessarily guide them. And I see these young people, they're taken to church. You see them as they come in and they're out of control, but they get them under control. And they get some direction, clear direction. And to me, this is something we want to continue to help see happen for the betterment of the children, the betterment of the church, the betterment of the state of Tennessee, and the betterment of the world. We're making a difference. And you have that opportunity. I would urge every one of us to do something. Give as God has blessed each of us in helping in this tremendously worthy cause.
Well, Milton said it very, very well. We've heard tonight a wonderful story. We've seen youngsters that have been helped. We've heard from people who helped those youngsters. You've heard from the leadership of Tennessee Children's Home, of their commitment, the leaders' commitment to what is there. In my case, at 81, I'm not going to be much of anything. But anyway, I would never, ever probably be a counselor. I don't have space in my home that I'd be taking care of these youngsters and giving them guidance and direction. But I can be a part, we all can be a part of this by making a gift for this campaign and making it a part of our giving pattern and doing what we are able to do. And as I said before, ask others to do that. Ask other people to be supportive. I'm sometimes, and one of the reasons that we out across the state can be so important, there are people who, if they know the story of Tennessee Children's Home, might be guided to make an important gift. And I want to just give an example there's a little couple outside of Lake City, Tennessee, which they're trying to change to Rocky Top. These two people never went to the University of Tennessee, had no connection, except by somebody got them connected to the Tennessee Lady Vols. These people never went to college, and they developed a passion. And when they die, we come into 4 cemeteries. If you need a plot, let me know. But the point being, they got interested. And not only your interest in our making a gift tonight, in the future, in our wills, in our estate plans, outright, whatever the amount might be, but look at other people around us who, if they heard this story from somebody they respect, could be guided to do the same thing. So I urge all of us to do that. It's a great opportunity. Joe Johnson can't do what the men and women stood here tonight are doing, but I can be supportive of that effort. And let me just close. Last evening I was at a little event in Knoxville, and a good friend of mine, Larry Martin, ended this with this quotation from Proverbs 11:24-25. One man gives freely, another holds what he should give, and only suffers want. A liberal man will be enriched, and one who waters will be watered himself. Keep that in mind as you think about what you might do tonight, because we can all water a great effort, and in so doing, make ourselves better. Good to be with you tonight. Thank you.
My guess is that those of you who are here this evening fall into one of 2 general groups of people. Some of you know Tennessee Children's Home. You have given for years. You are supportive. You've made a commitment to the campaign. Your congregation has made a commitment to the campaign. And you're here because you want to support, you want to learn more, find out what we're doing. There's another group that's here because somebody like me asked you to come and listen to what we're doing. We've tried to help you understand what our mission is, what our goal is in this campaign, why we are doing it. And if you have any questions, please stop anyone that has spoken tonight, James McCune or Mike or Brian or Bill, and ask them to give you more information. This video that was the last video that we saw is available. If you want one of those to show to your Sunday school class or to your congregation or women's group, we can make that available to you. It tells the story in about 7 minutes. But I want to say something personal. When I first got involved with Tennessee Children's Home, I did it because I thought it was the right thing to do. I knew what James 1:27 said. And I did it sort of out of duty. I know I'm probably the only person in the world that's ever done something good out of duty. But do you know, it didn't take very long for me to do what I did because I was enthusiastic, because I saw the changes that it made. And if anybody asked me to give, whatever it is to, I have to ask myself one question. What are the tangible results that I can see for money that's given to you? And I would say, ask yourselves that same question. Has Tennessee Children's Home shown you anything in past experience or that you've seen tonight that tells you that we're getting results? That we, not me, but our staff, and all the people who work directly with the young people, that they're doing their job. Count the baptisms, count the recidivism, count the graduation from high school of boys who were not on track to graduate. The greatest predictor of poverty is the lack of a high school education. All of those counts, we're producing results. The state of Tennessee has come to us and said, we need more. And the only way we can do that is if you and people like you across the state, I'm asking you, send our message, take brochures, send videos. Ask us to come and speak to your ladies' class or to your Sunday school class or on Wednesday night. We've got at least a dozen people who will be delighted to do that. And if you give us that opportunity and we can get this message out, then we will be successful in our campaign. We want you to be our ambassador. There are only a few of us. You know, Jesus didn't have a plan B. He appointed 12. But he did not appoint 12 to do it all themselves. We can't do it ourselves either. We have to have you and your goodwill. Your money helps, but we need you and your goodwill and your prayers. Now, on your table, each of you will find, you're given a packet. There is a bright yellow envelope and there's a white form. Please, while we have Parker Blue come back up here, they're going to close us with a song. While they're doing that, I would appreciate it if each of you, whether you've already given or not, please complete this. We want a record of your being here. Give it to your table captain. Your table captain is probably whoever invited you to come. But give it to your table captain. And if you have any questions as you leave, then please stop any one of us that have spoken tonight or anyone that's associated with the home, and we'll get you connected with somebody that can answer your question. Bill,
I want to do
Just
one.
one quick thing. The table captains get to take them up on the center of their table, so they take those tonight. But let's all do this. And Brian, all of us get around.
Conrad, I want to do one.
please.
Tonight, those of us who are here as guests really do appreciate the declaration, appreciate the singing, appreciate that crazy Korean who graduated from University of Tennessee. I think. He said he did, but I'm not sure. But I want you to join all of us to thank Bill, Conrad, all the singing group, Henry, for what they've done tonight for our benefit and benefit of the Tennessee Christians. Let's give these folks a round of applause.
One other thing, this staff, they have earned our trust by all the hard work. I think it would behoove us all to give the staff, Brian and all his staff, and all the board members that give of their time. Would you be willing for them to stand up and let us all applaud them for the good job?
We've got a lot of former board members here as well. Mike, I know you're not on the board now, you've been a board member. These men are current board members. We've got a couple of past board members. We have 26 members of our board, ladies and men. And if you are interested in serving on our board, we would love to have your name, and we would be appreciative if you would consider being of service to the home.
I'm just going to say, hey, a big hand for Conrad, Dr. Sewell, Dr. Johnson, fabulous. I'm going to say something real quick. I do a lot of these. And there's a lot of great organizations, and there's a lot of benefits that go around. And I got to tell you, I'm going to be perfectly honest. When I looked at the program and I saw what was going to go on, and I saw you were going to have these guys up here, and I thought, well, that ain't going to do any good. But I got to tell you, that was compelling. And it wasn't a sales job, it was honesty. And, I mean, if you're not going to support this thing, we're in a lot of trouble. We're in a lot of trouble. And under schools, you talk about that gap of the Amish boys that have where they start having problems, it's called puberty, number one. And just so you know, yesterday I went to the Amish Museum of Progress. It's not open yet, but yeah. Give these gentlemen a huge round of applause. Go Vols. You want to sit? Okay. They're just going to sit, and they're going to sing a song, and when they're done, we're done. Because I'm going to get out of the parking lot before y'all. You have cards on your tables? Everybody knows what to do? We're all good. Big hand. Parker Blue.
Every blessing, tune my heart to sing thy praise. Streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. Teach me some melodious song, sung by flaming tongues above. Praise the mountain fixed upon the mount of thy redeeming love. Here I raise my Ebenezer, hither by thy help I come, and I hope by thy good pleasure safely to arrive at home. Jesus sought me when a stranger, wandering from the fold of God. He to rescue me from danger interposed his precious blood. Oh, to grace, how great a debtor daily I'm constrained to be. Let thy goodness like a fetter bind my wandering heart to thee. Prone to wander, Lord, I feel, prone to leave the God I love. Here's my heart, oh, take and seal it for thy courts above. Here's my heart, oh, take and seal it for thy courts above.